Welcome back to the Tiny Room Hanger. This is Mike and I'm coming at you with the weekly news review for April 11th, 2021. This has been an extremely big week for news. Not just all the Hasbro reveals, but everything else that's going on. I'm having trouble keeping up, but I do want to say that my wallet is hiding in the corner because it is terrified of all the great things I might be buying. We're going to talk about all this coming up. First off, I want to talk about what's new at Show Z, and they have the APC Toys, their version. It's a pink version of the Transformers Prime RC. Looks pretty much exactly the same as the blue one, but it's pink, and it sort of makes more sense to, I guess, G1 collectors. And for $35, this is a Chug scale figure. There's also something really interesting called Snail Shell B03W Wasp Girl Bunchan. She looks kind of like Stinger, I think that's the name, Stinger from Thundercats, but a little bit different redeco. Still really cool, very posable figure. Don't think she does any sort of transforming, but she is $5 down and a $100 figure. She's going to be about 7 inches tall. There's also this King Arts diecast scene DS075 Steel Jig Beetle damaged version, and comes with a ton of options and a ton of parts. Now again, I don't really know what this franchise is, but it's still really cool stuff that I'm seeing at Show Z, so I figured I'd share. $2 down, no price just yet on this guy. So Takara has revealed their Skywarp. We kind of knew it was coming, and it's no big surprise. Due out in January of 2022, $225 price point on this guy, and he looks really good. So the team's going to shape up nicely, but this is going to be the cheapest one of the team. It's, of course, going to come with the Skywarp. 2 null rays, 3 faceplates, a Megatron gun, 4 effects parts, a base, and a character card and instructions how to transform this guy. But this team is shaping up nicely, and we're going to start seeing these repaints continue to flow. So X Transbots has also revealed some color renders of their Le Purple Quintesson the Prosecutor, whatever. Anyway, this thing is going to have a remote, says phrases, visible tentacles, glowing energy beam, eyes glowing, alternate face. So it's going to be right in line with the other one that they made, and I'm thinking you can swap faces on it too, and have multiples with different faces and looks. But I'm guessing it's going to be expensive, $160, $175. No price yet, no release date yet. All assumptions, but educated guess. X Transbots also showed a picture of their youth version of Flip Out. So if you're still kind of in on X Transbots for the youth version, I kind of, in hindsight, think the youth version will be the best looking version in all modes. It is supposed to look like the toy, but it's so enhanced in every aspect of the applications, and I think they might even have stickers on them too, but it just looks good. And this guy, I don't think this thing is completed, so I'm just kind of curious about it. What's it going to look like when it's finally completed and done? But still exciting for the youth version. We've got Dream Star Toys coming out with better pictures of their version of, I guess it's going to be their first figure out for the Aerialbot team. And Slingshot, is it Slingshot? So he looks good, definitely different. I personally am an Aerialbot lover, so kind of excited for this. I'm not really in on the set myself. I'm excited to see how it develops. Then I might change my mind, but really looks cool. Got a lot of real world to it, and so there it is. Exciting, and this project is definitely moving forward. And probably the single most impressive thing they've shown this week is this transforming Optimus Prime from Robosen, and it is officially licensed. We have seen this before several times over the past couple of years, but it turns out they finally got this thing officially licensed, so we can see more about it and what all it can do. It is extremely impressive. It does far more than I initially thought it was going to do, and so you can see that it is an authentic Optimus Prime. He does lots of poses. He does walk. He transforms on his own. He rolls out on his own. Just so much that he can do. Very impressive. The name Robosen, well, their biggest sin is the price at $700, and it's sold out. It's already sold out. Sorry, but you can still order it at Show Z. Yeah, Show Z has it, but it's $900 at Show Z. So, kind of give and a take. I'm not sure why the pricing is so much higher at Show Z, but they still have it. That you can still get this. Now, I'm starting to wonder: is there going to be like another run next year, or 6 months later, or after a while? And then the price eventually start going down as they start making this. But it has so much electronics in it, so many servos, so many processors and all this stuff. It's impressive. It's amazing. The next generation's here. So the Legends news, the next version of Darius or New Age's Galvatron. This is the toy version, and I gotta admit, I'm usually not in on stuff like this, but I am really drawn to this guy. I know I have the EX or the higher painted, glossier painted one on the way. This thing still looks like it's got a pretty glossy paint job, and it's toy inspired to a point. Looks really cool. Also, the alt mode looks pretty good on it too. Again, it's a good figure. I don't have it yet, but everybody loves this figure that's talked about it. I like the pictures of it, and I think it's actually sized right to go with Magic Square, and even with the McFans toys, I think you can make all your Legends look pretty good. And here is a nice little blend of kind of where they're going with some of these extra figures on the side here. I don't know what they're calling this Megatron, but I know this Megatron is what you see from like the early commercials and stuff like that, so it's really kind of cool, really kind of fun, and this is like Darius number 12. And other Legends news, Magic Square is just kind of showing off. Like this picture here, I'm not sure if it came from Magic Square or just a super enthusiast that's got an early copy of the Shockwave, but when you sit back and you look at Magic Square Legends in the front, and you look how much cleaner every one of them look compared to the Masterpiece representations in the back, Takara, and Takara looks great, right? But look at Magic Square in the front. This might be an entire video just talking about this. I think Magic Square is doing great work, and they need to keep it up. So this is where we get into all these massive Hasbro reveals. So here's the arc, and it's a transforming arc, and I didn't know how I felt about that at first, but I guess now I'm okay with it. It looks cool, and I guess you'd say, well, if it was just a ship and it didn't transform, it's not really a Transformer. And Hasbro's taken a side, they take a stance. It's not a Transformer if it doesn't transform. It's red if it doesn't transform, right? So they don't want red all over this. So this is a Titan class. Still, I think it's at the 160 price point. And this is what it looks like in the ship mode. Looks kind of cool. Kind of feels like the very back side areas. That just should have something closing that off. I'm sure we're going to see upgrade kits for that in the future. Here it is in the back. And the back has, it, of course, the iconic 4 engines in the rear, which looks good. And it's going to look good on display. I think a lot of people will display this from the back because that's what we see the most in the show. Again, cool features like the Millennium Falcon drop-down ramp, and that's really interesting right there. And then he comes with a little itty-bitty mini Optimus Prime, is it? Itty-bitty mini figure. So interesting. This is a small figure on its own. You get a Teletran one, which, by the way, this would work great in any of your displays. I don't know if, well, you could probably pull it off. Just put a little something under it. Pull it off in a Masterpiece display also. So really kind of cool. I think they said this is a Voyager scale figure that transforms into a robot. Again, they take a side. You can't just have a hunk of plastic. It's got to transform, which it's got to live up to the price point. And really cool, interesting ideas, going in a different direction. I would have never thought of this. I would have never guessed this. I was guessing they'd have made like a Metroplex, right? Like a real G1 Metroplex for Kingdom. Maybe we'll see that for whatever's after Kingdom. Here's the box art, so you kind of expect to see. So you know what the box looks like when you don't see it in the store, because you will not see this in stores. You might see it in like 1 or 2 stores. I saw a Triptychon on a Walmart, but I think it was ordered online and then returned in store, so that's probably the only way you'll see it. But here's the back of it, and again, I like the artwork. I like what they're doing with the packaging. It looks good. This has never had a window in any of the Titans, so I'm perfectly fine with no window and not being able to see the figure. It's when it gets to the deluxes and stuff, that kind of packaging bothers me with no window. So next on the list here, we've got Rodimus, and this is the Commander class. This is $80. He's big. I don't know if he's big enough to say, like, he'd fit in a Masterpiece collection for $80, but he's big, he looks good, he looks decent, he looks like Rodimus. We have seen a lot of this already, so not much new, but we do see the Matrix compartment, the chest open, and all that stuff here. We also see the Winnebago mode, and there he is. And the Winnebago mode is actually kind of growing on me a bit more than it did initially. Still kind of seems like the cap sticks out a little bit too far, but there's going to be a lot of features with it, and so there's more to dive into that in the future. Next up, they're showing off the Kingdom Galvatron, and we've seen a lot of this already, but I think it does look pretty good. It has the Matrix on the chest, and I kind of like it. And this thing is the leader class, as we suspected, and it's going to cost $50, as we suspected, but it might actually be worth it. In the end, here's the alt mode. Alt mode looks good. I do like the translucent barrel on it, and I do like the overall design of it, so this does look pretty good, and it's kind of worthy of the direction that Hasbro's been going lately. Next, they showed off their Voyager class version of Rhinox, and I start to wonder if I like this one better than the 30th anniversary, and I'm starting to think I might actually like 30th anniversary a little bit better. So side by side, here's what they look like, so you can kind of get a good look and decide which one do you like better. It's hard to say. Each one has a plus and a minus to them, but I really think that the new one wins in the Beast mode, and if you like to keep them in your Beast mode the most, you might like the new one better. I like the colors on the 30th anniversary better. It's just, in my mind, it's what I think of when I think of Rhinox, but we would probably have to do a much more detailed side-by-side on this character. Next up, we got Trax, and again, all these we've kind of assumed or heard about or knew about, but it's fun to see it. I think Trax looks good. This is the best looking Trax that they have made. I have another version of Trax, a Generations version of Trax, and I thought it was okay. But I think this one is far better. It's moving in the right direction. Again, it's not perfect, but it's moving in the right direction. I do like the way this one looks. I also like the way it looks in its alt mode, and there it is, the alt mode. And I think it does shine even more in the alt mode than in the bot mode. Trax is a fun character, and especially if you can get this fun character to fly. Everybody likes a flying car. We thought we'd be driving flying cars by now, so at least we're going to get it in Trax, and it's a gimmick that they have to include, in my opinion, if you're going to make a Trax figure, and it's not a hard gimmick to include. It's really simple. Just make the wings tuck under the car and on the back of the arms. Pretty simple, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I do look forward to this figure. Next up, we got Kingdom Wingfinger, and I have to tell you, I personally do not like the idea of these weaponizers. I think it's kind of etching out something different for Kingdom instead of just remaking stuff that's been made in the past, and this is something new. But for this particular one, I actually do like it. And the thing about it is that it is a weaponizer. It does break down to the point. It doesn't really transform per se. You just reorganize the parts and make it into this. And this is kind of reminds me of Swoop. I've got a thing for Swoop, so sorry. That's my problem. That's a personal issue I got to deal with. So I'm probably going to buy this one as my first weaponizer. I assumed all the other weaponizers would clog shelves and would be on clearance somewhere. Maybe that's not happening, but I assumed it would. So I'm going to grab this guy in case he's hard to get down the road. So next on the list is Scorponaut Deluxe Class. This guy is really cool looking. I like the way he looks. I think he's a little stockier than I would remember the character, but he is a lot of fun. A mean, tough, kind of not the brightest star out there, but it looks a lot like the character that I remember. Here he is in the Scorpion mode, and for Beast Wars collectors, it's going to be a lot of fun. For people like myself who have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of Beast Wars, for the price point, it's worth getting. I don't know if I'd spend $100+ on a Masterpiece, so this would definitely satisfy my appetite for it, and I think it looks really good. So when the information started to roll in on what's coming out, I saw this picture and no information, and I really, from a distance, from just a quick glance, I thought, are they putting out a third Voyager Soundwave, this is core class. So first off, for me to initially think this is going to be another Voyager, that's a compliment to the core class. Now, I got more to talk about core class another day. I don't have time today, but this does look really good. It comes with 2 guns, 2 weapons. He's got both of his batteries that turn into it, and it does transform. It transforms into a boombox. So for the fact that they're making this and it looks so good, I'm really impressed with what they're doing with the core class Soundwave. So here is the boombox mode, and you can flip the feet either way. It can either, you can't have a perfect rectangle, I guess. You can flip them to where it's facing outward or upward. I don't know. So there is a flaw in it, but it's a $10 4-inch figure. You're going to get a cassette to put in there, so you're going to have your laser beak. I still think this is awesome. I'm getting it when I get it, and it's just going to be fun to get one of these simply because it looks so good, and for $10, why not? There's also going to be a repaint Cybertron T-Rex of Megatron, and it's a $50 leader class. I don't really know much about where they came up with the idea of the repaint. I'm sure there's some sort of lore behind it that I don't know, but it's cool that they're doing it. The figure is actually a really good figure. It's a good figure. I got the first one. I don't know if I'm going to get this. If it's on sale or something, maybe. But it's still kind of cool. And I understand Hasbro wanting to repurpose all their molds to make something out of it, because the molds and all that's so expensive. So here he is in his pink deluxe mode here, the Beast mode, and looking good as usual. So we also have Transformers Generations Warfare Cybertron Deluxe, K39 Tricanicus Beast Wars Fire Blast Collection Pack. And so we're getting a recolor, which it's an amazing repaint. It just looks that good. Again, I think this is one of those figures I wasn't so into in the first place, but full of blast effects. Just blast effects everywhere. We want blast effects, and it's a way to get it for $30. You get a $20 figure, and you're paying $10 to get a ton of blast effects. It's kind of cool. It's interesting. I kind of like that they're making it. I don't know if it's 100% for me or not, because I have my own blast effects from other places. But here he is in his, I guess you say, bot mode, and the colors pop. It looks really cool. And if you're really into all of these weaponizers, then you're going to be really into this. So we've got a shattered glass version of Blur. I think this is a Pulse exclusive. I am not seeing it anywhere else other than Pulse, so it probably is a Pulse exclusive. $30 on this guy. It's kind of cool looking. I think the Blur is an okay figure. I don't think it's the greatest mold for Blur ever made for any faction, but it's the best for a mainline Blur. And making a shattered glass is just kind of another step and more fun. Another use of the mold. At least they're not trying to make this mold into RC again, like they did in Titan Returns. So here it is with this a cool paint deco, really cool looking in its alt mode. So there it is, but does it command a $30 price point for a $20 figure? I don't know. Such a massive week of Transformers news, but we've got to get into talking about a few other things. We got some G.I. Joe Snake Eyes movie Origins figures, and it's a very mixed bag. There are lots of issues with what's going on with the Origins, but it's a movie line, and we expect that with the movie line. So anybody that's upset or disappointed or not excited, well, it's a movie line. What else do you expect? Starting off, of course, we get the Snake Eyes in his package. He looks good. Doesn't have quite as many accessories as, say, the Classified. Here's the thing. These things are going to be priced as Classified, which when they were talking about it, they said, we're making these for kids. And I'm thinking, oh, they're going to be like a $12 price point? No. They're $20. So they're the Classified price. But it seems like they're scaling back on a few things. But here is Snake Eyes. He looks okay. He comes with a swappable head, a couple of weapons. So I looked up in Webster's dictionary, and Baroness means disappointed. Just kidding. The Baroness figure, it's not what I thought. I really thought we were going to get another Baroness pretty much just like the one we got with the motorcycle. And I kept talking about, we're going to get another Baroness. I wasn't thinking we were going to get this. Now, it's not the worst version of Baroness we'll ever see in the world. I'm sure they'll do worse than this, but it's not what I expected, and it's not what most collectors expected. But it probably will match the movie actress very well, and so that's why they went this route. And there's a reason why they do things, even though we think there's not. And I'm a little disappointed, but that's probably not going to stop me from buying her, because I kind of don't want to open up my what costs like $120, $150 to get the one with the cycle these days. So probably going to go with her as my Baroness on the shelf, sadly. Here's Storm Shadow. I want to highlight that the actual masked head looks really good in this. I'm not excited about the uniform, but that's just my kind of hang up. He does look pretty cool. I like Storm Shadow. I like ninjas, so he kind of works in a way. I am actually getting excited for the movie, though. Whether or not it truly hits the original vintage tune or not, I liked both of the live-action movies, and this figure makes me think I'm excited for the upcoming movie, even more than the Snake Eyes figure, and it's named after Snake Eyes. So the Scarlet has some pluses and minuses, and I'm starting to look at the actress, the likenesses. Is that Scarlet kind of looks familiar. I got to look up who the actress is and her name, but she looks very familiar to me. Anyway, I'm starting to wonder if this is going to get repainted into a more kind of like a vintage look. Like, will this body type be better for a vintage look than what we saw with the Classified? I really do think so. And I know Hasbro will see the vintage look coming. What buck will they use? I bet it's this one. Anyway, I think the head sculpt is nice. And the hair, the way they did it, it's nice. I like the crossbow. So there's things to like about it. I don't 100% hate it. I'm not really happy about the color scheme overall, but it's still going to be a cool figure. And I think these have double jointed elbows. And double jointed knees, but from looking at this, I don't see it. But from hearing the live stream, I heard them say something about double jointed. Maybe I was wrong. And this is an all new character, a Kikyo, and interesting character to say the least. Once we see the movie, we'll decide whether like we really want this. I hope it doesn't turn into the Rose Tico like with Star Wars and just kind of clog shelves, but still interesting. And the fact that she's kind of got the martial arts thing going on is probably going to be a lot of fun. And I found a comparison of Baroness to Baroness. So if you are on the fence on which Baroness you like more, then you might want to go spend $150, $200 before it becomes $300 for the Classified Baroness if you like that one more. Anyway, I found this picture. I thought it'd be fun, a nice little side-by-side comparison. I guess I could have made my own side-by-side comparison, but there's so much going on, I didn't have time for that this week. So in Star Wars news, we've got some figures showing up for Wave 6 in my area here in Oklahoma, so it's probably showing up everywhere in the country, but Boba Fett's the one that I will probably never get my hands on in the wild. He's gone as soon as the case is put out, but I got all the rest of them. Even Grogu, believe it or not, I found him on the shelf, so kind of fun and exciting to see Vintage Collection again, but $15 a pop, a little underwhelming. I'm kind of disappointed after tax and all that, because we're taxed heavier than anyone. It's crazy that that we're where we are now with Vintage Collection, and I can't get Boba Fett. I'd gladly pay my 14 something for a Boba Fett after tax, but I got the rest of them. So Hasbro is excited to announce another repack wave of figures we've already gotten and seen, and it's kind of one of those things that we're going back to the barely 100s, and we're pushing 200 on the Vintage Collection. So yes, collectors can get these figures that were missed out on, and that's great, but these aren't the best ones to pick. By the way, there are a lot better ones out there. They even put a fan vote out, and I guess with the fan vote, I don't have a lot of info on it, but every one of those figures will probably get remade. Anyway, why bother with a fan vote? But this is kind of, I would say, not A players, B players, or like C players of what people are missing in the Vintage Collection that had started late, you know. So really a strange decision to get these, to make these. Maybe the molds were more easily accessible. So we got a Gaming Greats Heavy Battle Droid coming out, which it's kind of interesting. Right now, you can get a Battle Droid pretty much at any Walmart hanging on the shelf with the biggest deadbeat wave ever out there with the Phantom Menace wave, and then we're remaking an Anakin and a Padme. But you can get a standard Battle Droid right now if you want those, and this guy down the road. So kind of cool. I just think that army builders are okay no matter what. Whether it's a Battle Droid or what it is, that is the best part of this dead on arrival wave that's in Walmart right now, is the Battle Droid. That is awesome. And then of course, I think they have an Imperial Gunner in there. So those are some good options out there, and I think this is a good option also. But most of these heavy Battle Droids won't be built as armies. They're more like one with a whole bunch of other ones. What do you think? So there's an Entertainment Earth exclusive of this Purge Trooper here, and in the Vintage Collection, it looks kind of cool. It's probably one of the things that's going to be pretty well sought after. People like this Purge Trooper. They really like this thing as the Gaming Greats in the Black Series, but it's a little interesting with the weapon and the purple and all that. Kind of a cool aesthetic. There's also the Vintage Collection Gaming Greats Shock Trooper, which is Scout Trooper. Kind of a cool look to it too. Of course, I like Scout Troopers, so this one's going to be hard to turn down myself. Some Black Series news. We got this Koska Reeves, which is really a cool looking Mandalorian. Looks great. This is kind of where we're going with the Mandalorian. We're going to get all of these different versions, and this one does look really good. It's on kind of a female buck because she's a female, and it's going to look great when you get all of them together, all of them displayed on a shelf. Looks really good. Great choice. There's also this Q90 named Zero, another really cool looking figure. I watched The Mandalorian and I just kind of missed this whole character. Maybe I need to go back and watch it again. But still looks really cool. I kind of like oddball kind of stuff also. So if they make these oddball things, I'm going to pick them up, of course. Of course, here's the Aura Singh, and this figure was really big in the Vintage Collection. So they're making Aura Singh in the Black Series. I'm not sure if it's going to sell as well in Black Series as it did in Vintage Collection. Still a cool figure. Still probably going to pick this one up myself because just different. I mean, I like different. I like something a little bit out there, and this figure sure is. And then General Lando in the Black Series. I can't remember if we've seen a General Lando in the Black Series yet, but anyway, I still think it's cool. For whatever reason, all the Landos have been sitting on the shelves when he is the coolest guy in the galaxy. So I'm definitely going to get General Lando because I know I don't have one. That doesn't mean they didn't make one already. So I'm definitely picking this guy up. I think he's really cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I do think that if you collect vintage Kenner, this figure's actually pretty hard to find in the vintage Kenner line. I want to see more of the 96 come out, and I will definitely support this one. And Tech from the Bad Batch. So I followed the Clone Wars series, and when I saw the Bad Batch episodes, I knew they were going to make them. I figured it would have been here by now, but they're finally announcing Tech. I went to go pre-order it on the Hasbro Pulse, and I put it in my cart, and I didn't hit checkout or whatever, and I went back a minute later and check out, and they were sold out. So I had to go pre-order it through GameStop, which I'll probably still get it quicker than Hasbro Pulse through GameStop. So not a big deal there, but I do want to get the whole team, and it kind of sucks that they're breaking it up, and you've got to get them in different waves and different size classes to get the whole team. That is a challenge. It's not too hard of a challenge, but wouldn't it have been better if they just put the whole Bad Batch out in one wave? Whew, so let me know what you think about this week's Weekly News and Review. Jam-packed, full of stuff. I like to know what else I missed so I can talk about it next week. There's so much going on. I know I missed some stuff. In fact, I know of stuff that I just didn't cram in here, but it's a lot of fun. It's exciting right now to be a collector. There are so many options out there. I mean, I don't think people are going to be buying everything coming out because there's just so much coming out. These are a lot of promises getting made. Are they going to be able to keep it up with distribution? Are we going to be able to get our hands on everything they announce? Will we see a bunch of the duds clogging up distribution? Who knows? But let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and Tiberium Hanger out.